Thank you so much. Yes, according to carbon footprint, so I didn't travel by plane, I traveled by train from Vienna, and Austria and the Czech Republic are neighbors, but so far apart, because of course of the history and of having a wall in between. So it was mentally far away, but still it's 4 hours and you can perfectly work on the train. So it was really also an experience for me to come and try to lower my carbon footprint.
And this is just 1 hour less than during the monarchy, and this is really pity.
Oh, that absolutely true. So yeah, so I mean, I think we can top the monarchies, and we will be much faster in the future. And I hope, I mean, I received your words very well. I see that the Czech Republic is hungry to access the European scene, to have more standing, and I would love to help. To make the connections even closer between Austria and the Czech Republic. So thank you for this great opening, I would say. Thank you for allowing ECBN, the European Creative Business Network, to be part in such an event. The ECIS is now I think in the 12th year. And we, for the last years, we always try to be, together with the European presidencies. And so thank you for Peter and his team that we can, share our work and our networks with you. And thank you to the team that was really well prepared, and it's a great event, so to say. So what do we expect the coming 2 days? So there are basically 3 pillars we work on. Today it's the stakeholder, the policy forum, where we will try to engage with policymakers, where we lay out what's going on in Europe, what is needed in Europe. Then in the afternoon we have the stakeholder forum to discuss a little bit deeper what does it mean to have a green transition, what can the creative industries contribute to the green transition, or even what do we need to do to contribute to the green transition. I mean, usually we say the creative industry is the avant-garde and on the forefront, and we do everything right, but of course we have to learn too. So that's also something we talked this afternoon about. What does it need to reskill and upskill our industry? What does it need to be on the forefront? What does it need to be, always up to date? And this brings us to the point where we say the creative industries has a really important role for cross innovations. We help our clients to transform. So we have to transform, and then we help our clients to transform. We will talk about re- and upskilling, I said. So we also talk about the crisis mode we are in. I mean, when we started a few years ago with today's ECBN team, it was the financial crisis we had to face. Then there was another financial crisis we have to face, where we saw that the creative industry is very resilient, towards that. Then we saw the pandemic, where we also saw that we lost a lot of colleagues because of the pandemic. They lost their jobs, they lost their work, they lost also their lives. And then now we have the energy crisis, or the conflict crisis, as we can say. Can we say so? And we see that the creative industries has a role to play in this crisis mode, and can contribute also. And we will talk about this too in this afternoon. The third pillar is the local forum, and this is something I think also the guys from Creative Prague reminded us. It's not only about Europe is coming to Prague and show what they are doing. It's also about what Czech Republic, what Prague is doing, and bring it on the European level. And there we will also discuss about the new way of working on a European level. And we have Bernd Fesel also as a guest today and tomorrow and the afternoon, where we talk about the EIT, the European Institute of Technology, and the new creative and culture and creative network we built. So basically that's for the whole 2 days. So today we start with Christian Ehler. Is he online now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm here.
So Christian Ehler is member of the parliament since 2004. He's really the mastermind behind a lot of things in the creative industries, if I could say so. He designed and was responsible also for the implementation of the European Framework Program for Research and Innovation. And of course, he's very well connected in the European Parliament. He's vice chair of the European Parliament's think tank, STOA, Science and Technology Options Assessment, and therefore he's also responsible and monitor what's going on, what is the Commission doing, and how well it is going. And we have to say that Mr. Ehler is really well connected also to what we are doing. So we had him nearly in every European Creative Industry Summit, and he gave really good inspirational speeches and helped us to develop where we are now, what we are doing. And also, I think this we see also over the course of these 2 days, he's also a little bit behind what is going on the European level. So please, Mr. Ehler, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me. Thank you very much for having me. I don't pretend that it's about the ecological footprint that I'm present in Prague, but in my little main occupation besides the creative industry, we're working on the electricity and gas crisis, and so I had to stay here in Berlin. But nevertheless, thank you for having me. I see the blank fear in the eyes of some of you, yet another politician holding a speech, but you have to be brave, and thank you for Karin for the nice introduction. Just about the context. I mean, it had been said Europe is in the midst of a period of economic and social upheaval, and it's the combination of both. A digital and environmental transition accelerated by COVID-19, the pandemic, the rise of populism, the war in Ukraine. I mean, you can go on. Right now, it is a mess, let's be honest. And more than ever, we need creators fostering the cultural shift that is a prerequisite for behavioral change. This is in particular relevant today as skyrocketing energy prices have a severe consequence for consumers and businesses in Europe. I mean, nothing will stay the same. We should be aware, but how to cope with that? So the cultural and creative industry can provide, from our point of view, a unique asset in translating knowledge into understanding, because what we are doing now is regulation. We talk about new technologies, but does that translate to an understanding by citizens? So this potential to help citizens to internalize the ecological transition, not by just regulating, imposing, asking, to translate that into a positive message. I think that is something we desperately need, and why we are so much looking on you. Reinforcing green ethics, inspiring them in the deepest self in face of the challenging winter ahead. The creative minds of this sector are virtual to encourage behavioral changes and to foster the understanding of the necessity of a green and sustainable future, which comes now under pressure because people just looking on prices. Just for the artistic souls in the audience, I just want to highlight that our expectation is not that we look to you and we don't want to come from a socialist realism dogma of the past, so all of a sudden to an ecological EU realism or something like that. I think there is a substantial understanding on two things. I mean, you're creators, you have an artistic background, you're a businessman, and we don't want to usualize or to integrate blindly or impose now on you that you solve our problems. But I think you should be aware that there is a lot of expectation because you are the big translators. You make the message positive, but not the message. You add products, you add ideas, you add an understanding how societies can interact in a way we in politics can't. And I think after years of hard work, and if I may add, mainly driven by the European Parliament, policymakers on the European level are aware of the transformative, innovative potential of the CCIs. And we are starting now slowly but surely to integrate that into legislation. You might have seen the initiative that perfectly reflects the power of combining the creative and the cultural and the creative industry with other sectors and market players in the light of the Green Deal, and that's the new European Bauhaus. I think it's unique as an instrument, as an idea, as a movement developed in recent years. Because I believe with this movement initiative, the impact of CCIs towards a net zero economy will be enlarged even more. The new European Bauhaus was created as a creative and interdisciplinary initiative where architecture, design, the arts and science for the first time placed together for the at the center of EU policies, translating the European Green Deal into a tangible, positive and inclusive experience for all. The concept of the Bauhaus takes up the objectives of the European Green Deal and cuts across disciplines, so bringing together cultural, social, scientific, and other creative minds to come up with a tangible, sustainable, beautiful, and inclusive solutions, improving our daily lives. And I think that's important. Saying you shouldn't travel, you shouldn't grill your sausage, you shouldn't drive your cars. I mean, but what do we offer? So the natural playground for the CCIs could be this new European Bauhaus represented, and that represents this unique opportunity also for you to mingle and merge with industry, with science, with technology, with innovative developments. And I think that is an ecosystem which will be highly attractive and in the future will be also heavily subsidized by us, because we need that, we have to fuel that initiative. I think that culture and creative industry have the potential to reshape the way policies are received, as well as to define the spatial and design environment of our societies. But I mean, let's be realistic, and that's the other side of the coin. CCAs themselves are not only part of the solution, they are also part of the problem. So German festivals uses around 400 million liters of diesel power to generators every year. A museum needs, at average in Europe, up to 12 million kilowatt, mainly for cooling and ventilation. A film production relies heavily on electricity, huge batteries and generators. And in fact, we don't have all the figures, but in 2018, the total emissions created by the energy consumption in the creative industry in the UK alone was estimated 44,000 tons of carbon dioxide. So the CCIs will have to play an active role by educating also their own workforce to change working habits, technologies in order to help reach carbon targets and continue and contribute to the Green Deal implementation. CCIs will not only contribute to the implementation itself, but it's that it has a far more important and impactful meaning. And the CCIs in the supply chains are the target of ongoing legislation as well. So you're going to see that you're not just analyzing yourself. I think right now we are going to see also regulation coming, and the sectors of the creative industry should be aware of that. I just give you two examples. The Sustainable Textile Strategy and the Sustainable Product Initiative are just two very recent examples, not to mention the Corporate Sustainable Due Diligence Regulation. So CCIs play a crucial role in how products, including textiles, are produced and consumed in a bid to slash relevant emissions and their impact on the environment. And they're directly affected by legislation that comes with that. Like the rest of the industry, they will have to follow the Fit for 55 targets. So also the creative industry has to reduce 55% of their emission footprint, and that's a significant challenge towards 2030. So allow me to name two random examples that illustrate how CCIs can be an active part of fighting climate change. The Climate Charter of Impala, I like them very much. They're really very, very active, smart people. That's the Independent Music Companies Association. setting out 15 commitments that will help to make the organization itself and its membership become more environmentally sustainable. The ambition is to have a fully climate positive membership by 2030, that being where companies not only aim to become carbon neutral themselves, but also work to reduce the greenhouse emissions of other stakeholders in their supply chain. Or another more technical example, but interesting, is the Hydrogen Creative Lab in Germany. So the Hydrogen Creative Lab has set itself the task of identifying hydrogen pioneers in the CCIs and connect them with interested actors from science, research, and business, and share experiences as well, initiate future cooperations and pilot projects. So aiming at cross-innovation, the Hydrogen Creative Lab has the potential to become the one-stop shop accompanying processes in science, research, environmental technologies, business development, and the digital startup world. And that is also what we see right now, that we had been looking what is digital disruptive transformation, what are the potentials in technology, but now also from the technologies, from the science side, there is a hand towards the creative industry and an understanding that they need you and want to integrate you in something which in the past a hydrogen lab would have been a solemnly technology-driven, science-driven construction. So aiming at the cross-innovation, I think we see that now the doors are opening. And I think that CCIs will have to actively engage in the legislative and the policy process on the European and national level, because it's not that we are appealing to you in terms of your potential. We should be aware that, I mean, in the textile industry, the ordinary European is buying 26 kilograms of textiles and is throwing away every year 11 kilograms of textiles. So fast fashion, from my point of view, has to come to an end, but not just by regulatory means. It should be also a more creative way for consumers to understand that this is not going to work, but it shouldn't level the attractiveness of the industry. So engagement in legislative and policy processes in many creative sectors will be necessary. Otherwise, you get regulation which might not even fit to the challenges for the sector. As I mentioned, you can count on the Parliament, a wild place, but that is really what I always want to say. We are not just administering or regulating your sector or appealing for help if it's sitting in deep shit like now. I think what there is really an admiration and love for your sector. And I think that had been an important driver in the Parliament to really foster budgets, to open up what I said, new lab, new possibilities to open up to science, to research, to all the sector, which creates this potential, creative potential, which I think will be very fruitful in the future. So as I had been asked a little bit, what is the beef also for Prague, for Czechia? I think what you should look to is really one of the amazing things which had been mentioned is the new EIT kick on the creative industries. I think this is the aircraft carrier where you can land all your ambition, but also start with funding with new networks. I mean, we had been creating that really to make it foster and to grow. And it had been for the first time not just placed in one member state. From the very beginning, Bernd Fesel, and he really, I admire his leadership on that consortia, had been created as a multi-European network. And if you have a new company, a startup, looking for a network, for also help for getting subsidies, to getting into technology networks, other national fundings or European funding, I think reach out for the Creative Kick. It will be one of the super forces in the future. So now you have been very patient. I hope you see a little bit the ambition we have, but also the need which is there, because and that I would like to end. What we need right now is not just dystopia. I mean, we're driving a lot of policies by dystopia. We are driving the policies on the environmental side by the end of the world. But in the end, we need an utopia, we need a vision, we need attractiveness, we need the forces of the market that consumers change their behaviors and not regulation that we say no, no. If products become sustainable and attractive, that is the way really to force what we need as creativity and a drive in our societies to change this very dangerous present situation. So thank you very much for having me. Sorry for not participating. Next time I'll come, but this time we have a little bit of an electricity and gas crisis next to our ambitions, and so I had to stay in Berlin. Thank you very much for having me. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. Ehler, for these very inspiring words. I mean, we acknowledge what you're saying, that we are not only part of the solution, but we're also part of the problem. I think this is also the topic we're gonna try to cover here these days. Of course, you mentioned also an European Bauhaus. I mean, yesterday we visited the meat packing district, where there will, as I understood, there will be a European Bauhaus project coming, and of course you mentioned that, and thanks to your advocacy, I have to say that the European Commission acknowledged the importance of the creative industries, and we see that clearly. I mean, this is a feedback to you now. 5 years ago, it was hard for us. I mean, I'm a designer by profession, so I know that also not on a policy level, but also as a company, it was hard to access European fundings. It was sheer impossible, so to say. And now, every month, you know, calls come out where they ask, please participate, come on board, let's do something. So this really changed the game for the creative industries. And thanks to your advocacy. Thank you.